what do you cover today?
Today we'll cover different types of tests, because we talked about Agile, we talked about the entire software development umbrella, and how QA fits into it. Today we will take a deep look in just testing. What are the different types of tests we do, how we do it. Also, we will also look into the code deployment that we talked about, that there are multiple environments and we just move code from one to another. And that is called deployment, because that's another practice. DevOps is a process of deployment, of automated code deployment. We'll talk about that. So what I'm trying to do, or I will try to do today, I will try to touch upon every single thing that is an area within a software development industry. I won't be able to make you a PhD, maybe, just saying it after today's class, but at least you will know that what are the area are important within software development industry, so you can start looking into it, right? There are enough information online that you can read through it. So that would be today's pretty much class.
All right, thank you.
And we'll do some hands-on work too, if time permits, right? We'll do some test case writing in Jira. If not all of you can do, but at least we will get to do with one or two. So,
can we download the Jira from the ourselves, and then we can practice it ourselves?
You can set it up. It's not just easy down. You don't have to download. There's a cloud version of it. Actually, that's a good idea. You can set up Jira for 10 days free trial. I can play with that and learn from it.
Okay.
It's a 10 days trial. You can always watch YouTube video how to set it up. All right, so let me fix my slide. I'll start the class for today.
You have a very big question here. It says, what kind of skills you need to become QA engineer?
Very good. That's I love that question. You need to learn Agile. Getting certified Scrum Master certification will be amazing. Then you need to learn all of these things that we talked about in last two class, how to write test case. You need to have understanding of what we're going to do today, different types of tests, and then you need to learn Jira, the tool, how to use it. And you need to learn SQL to do the back-end testing, right? SQL queries from W3 School. The instruction was given the last class. I will touch base on that today as well. That is the mandatory requirements, right? Apart from that, you can now start learning automation, start learning programming, develop a framework. That would be enhancement of your QA skill. And you'll become better QA or engineer level QA.
What was the certification you said?
Certified Scrum Master.
Oh, okay.
CSM, in short, called CSM. I think after these course, if you guys are interested to do that certification, I looked it up. It was 700 something, the certification and the training fees. And I have a partner company. I was talking about it yesterday. And then they are willing to give 50% discount. I'm still in the progress of talking to them. So let me figure this out. And of course, if you want to do it, talk to Yan, and she will accommodate you accordingly. Maybe in 2 weeks, next 2 weeks, you'll hear from me that what's the update on that.
Is there any course for QA certification? Like after completing the course, they will give a certificate for QA engineer or QA analyst?
There are a lot of people do. We do in my institute. Now the QA training we provide is, we call it full stack QA engineering. It's really an up-end, high-scale QA course. We actually, if you can see my screen.
You're not sharing a screen.
My bad, sorry. So first of all, it's right here. It's our website. It's called transfotechacademy.io or .com, both works. So if you go to QA engineering under course, we offer 4 courses: cybersecurity, cloud, business analyst, and QA engineering. So if you go to QA engineering, you'll see the full stack QA engineering, and you know, this is the course curriculum in one look. So this is really an engineering level curriculum. We talked about SDLC, we talked about Agile development, Jira, and we'll talk about different types of testing today. So we pretty much covered all these 4 cards. And then the next is the backend testing and cross-browser testing. That's another sort of testing that everybody needs, because any browser, any operating system that your end user might be using, your software should work for that. And then automation testing, and that's when comes Java. Java is a big piece of it. And then the TestNG, BDD, Cucumber are modern frameworks to do the automation technique. So there are 2 frameworks, and we teach both of them. Then GitHub, it's a code management system. How do you manage and handle codes? Continuous integration, it's what I was saying, it's a part of Agile, the deployment process, getting that automated. It's sort of like DevOps. So these 2 are together. And then cloud. Also, if you want to develop a robust automation framework, automation testing practice within your organization, you need to know cloud, because you can't have 30 different computers. You rather shift your stuff to the cloud. So we teach Amazon Web Service, but only the EC2 piece of it, because that's the only thing you need for QA. However, Amazon has 64 other services. We don't teach all of them. Don't get me wrong, just the EC2 one. And then mobile app testing, we talked about it in the first class. That's another separate world. Performance testing, you will know today, that's another separate world. Unix, Linux is a code-based operating system, and also API web service testing. So as you can see, this is the course that we offer. It's actually 3-4 different courses are out here. We consolidated in one. So it takes about 6 months. It's quite a bit of study. There is a special discount for Queens College students and the Tech Incubator. I think Abdul will be talking about it at the end, so I will just keep that for him. Okay, so that's that. I don't want to waste much time today. I just want to start the last session. And again, it's not ending here. You can always ask questions and we'll reply that. So we pretty much know that we need an Agile team. That Agile team works in day-to-day basis every day to develop a software together. So we do a 2-week sprint. At the beginning, we do sprint planning and all this, right? But when it comes to testing, what are the different kinds of tests we do? What are the different testing stages that we go through? That is very important, and that's our core, right? Agile just gives us a framework, rules, but what we do is this. These are the 7 different stages of testing. Each of these, I call it a stage because we do multiple things. But if you look up for like the definition-wise, you might see that, unit is one test, smoke is another test, functional, integration, end-to-end, regression, performance, and UAT. You might look it up and you might find these are one test. But it is one test. It is a kind of test. Definition-wise, it is one kind of test. Functional is a kind of test. Performance is a different kind of test. Smoke is another different kind of test. But it's more to it. That's what I would like to talk about today. So first, let's see that when developers develops. You did some sprint planning meeting, you identified some stories. Now developers need to code, right? So they will write the code on their own laptop. You've seen code before, right? So how they write code is they get each story, they read the acceptance criteria, and they will write the code accordingly to develop that software that is written by the requirement, which is user story. Then what do they do? After they write the code, what do they do with the code? Do they give the code to QA to test? Or do they put the code into somewhere where other people also put code and they consolidated all the codes together and create the application, right? These are the questions. But before I go any of these, when developers are writing codes, shouldn't they go through it, the testing cycle on their own? To be fair, otherwise it'll be like I am writing something and without even looking at the first check, I'm giving it to somebody to test. That will be horrible. So when they write code, developers, they will do a test. Only that little piece of the code, not the application. They don't even go to the application. So they wrote 5 lines of the code. They will check those 5 lines of the code. There is no spelling mistakes. It looks good. There is no double duplicated variable. Also, security is a big thing, right? They will check for certain securities. All these kinds of tests that the developer do, they call it unit test. And that is the first test ever starts in the within software development lifecycle. So developer do that. We don't. QA engineers, we don't do it. Developers are responsible for doing unit tests, right? And it's the code level. So I think I have a slide in here. So what do we do during the unit test level? After developer writes the code, for each user stories, developers perform unit testing on those lines to make sure there is no errors. So they do 2 things. They do static code analysis. This is a term in the software development industry. You'll hear that all the time, static code analysis. So they have a tool called SonarQube or Fortify. These are the most 2 popular tools out there. The SonarQube is the most popular and Fortify is catching up nowadays. So these are the tools they use to do a static code analysis. Let's say they have written 300 lines of code. So are they gonna check each of these lines, looking for mistakes like comma and spelling mistakes, duplicated variable, duplicated line, maybe just, because when they code, they copy paste all the time, right? Coding means copy pasting from one place to another. So what they did, they probably made a mistake and they duplicated it. So SonarQube will run through all of it automatically. And if it finds anything duplicated, it'll point it out. So that's the first test, static code analysis. So they write 300 lines of code, they will run through SonarQube, SonarQube will glance through it and point out any sort of mistakes if it's there. Then, is it all? No. Then they do some sort of security testing like SQL injection. So cybersecurity is not just after production, it's before production as well. When you are developing the software, security comes in that as well, because you need to start thinking about security from day one. If you code your software with having a lot of vulnerability, the hackers will find it and they will know how to break through your application. So security testing, which is eventually a part of cybersecurity department, a cybersecurity domain, I must say, but still it's part of the unit testing level where developers will do some security tests. There are various different kinds of security tests, but the SQL injection is one important kind. I don't want to, deep down to what SQL injection is, but it's sort of, they check the vulnerability within the code, that if there is any data breach. Learn about SQL injection. Google it, bunch of information are there. It'll make sense, it's not hard. That's what they do as part of the unit test. So they do static code analysis, then security injection. And then the third piece is they do code review. Code review means that, if I write the code, then I'm going to have one of you to review my code, like quickly. But you have to be a developer, right? You have to understand the code. Otherwise, there's no point of reviewing it. Now, let's say you were a developer and you became QA. Let's say you were an automation developer, automation engineer. You work in a QA team, but still you're kind of developers. So you can help your development team to do the code review, right? Because what happens, within the industry, you know, they don't have separate people to do the code review, but the code review is very important piece of unit testing. If you are a QA, right, and you know how to do the code review, and you say that in an interview, you already putting yourself ahead of others. So this is how you're going to impress them, right? So learning that coding skill not only will boost up your automation career, but also it will faster the process of getting jobs, because now you can talk about all of these. Code review. Coming back, so these are the three things are really important for developers to do part of the unit test. So this is exactly a unit test. If you look up for the definition, you might find like a unit test is a type of test that developers do at the beginning to make sure that little unit is working or not. That's just the book's definition. But what they actually do is these three things. And they will have to have a setup for unit test. So setup means that you need the tool, SonarQube. It's probably a free tool. Fortify is a paid tool. Depending on what tool stack they want to use, they need a setup to test the SQL injections, all those kind of things. And once they are done with the unit test, let's say they have written code for 5 different stories, and that is 5 different pieces. They will do unit test on those 5 different pieces, right? Separately, do all of these 3 things. Then they will combine those codes and create a build, right? Build deployment, you'll hear that a lot. A new build came in. That means build simply means the package of code. It's like you're buying samosas from 3 different stores. You need a package to put the samosas on, right? Otherwise, how are you going to carry it? So think of it as like build is the package. It's the packaging of codes. Codes could come from 3 different developers. Code could be written for 3 different stories. But when they combine together, they create a package. You would definitely learn more about it. So that's called build. So then they don't deploy the 1 line of code, or 2 lines of code, or 1 story, 2 story. They combined all of it, create a build, and that build, they deploy from one environment to another environment. That is called deployment. So every time developer writes a new code, that's a new build. And a build can have the old code into it. Let's say this is sprint 4 we are on right now. We are working on a story that has been already code written for all those previous sprint stories. Now I'm writing a new code, right? So my new build will have all the old codes with the new code. So how does it work? Let's again going back to the samosa example. You have a package, and you have collected samosas from 3 different stores. Now you're at the 4th one. Now you need to put 3 more. What you're gonna do? You're gonna open the package, right? Open the package and put 3 more. But point I'm making here is like, think about that when you had collected the previous samosas from the 3 store and you closed the package and you tested everything, all the samosas, and you found everything is good. All the samosas are great, packaged closed properly, it's not gonna drip, all kinds of testing you have done on a build. Now, at the 4th one, in a new build, so when you put more samosas on top of it, you dump samosas on top of it, would you be able to tell me that the package, would you be able to tell me that the old samosas was at the right spot? Maybe not, because now it dumped more samosas in there. So it's very similar in the coding industry. Whenever developers open that package of code, you need to retest everything once again to make sure the new code didn't interact, didn't mess up the old codes. So, now we're getting into we are a little slacked out from unit testing. So that's why every time there is a new build gets deployed, QA team needs to redo all the tests once again, and that's called regression test. It's not just a one-time thing. It's not like you have written a test case and you have executed it manually and you're done. No, you need to keep executing that test cases every time there is a new build. And every time developer writes a new code, there will be a new build. So you need automation. There is no alternative of automation. How many times you could do the same thing manually over and over again? That's why the needs of automation comes into picture. We'll take a look. Before that, any question about unit test?
Yeah, I have a question. So every time we have to test the like just the new code or the new code and the old code too?
I am coming to that answer later, a little later, but let's see that if you have any question about unit test. Did you understand what the unit test is all about and who does that and how it's get done?
Yes, got it, right, yeah.
Okay. Now you're asking what happens after unit test is done. Developer creates a new build, and what they do with me deploying it to QA, we'll take a look next. Take a deep look. I told you, nobody is gonna let you work out of the production server. This is your production server, right? And we know that every server has an URL. Like chase.com is a production server. And he took an example of Chase here. So actually we have multiple environments, multiple servers set up for our entire development practice and testing practice. First, we have an environment for the devs, the folks that will gonna write the code. They need a dedicated environment. So they will have a server. It's not gonna be production, but it could be a copy of production. A mock server, or what do you call sandbox. We also call this sandbox in the industry, right? That means it's not, the real data is not gonna be there, but it's gonna be a test data, test server. And they will have a URL called www.dev.chase.com. They're not gonna have chase.com, they're gonna have dev.chase.com. And then the QA engineers will have one for qa.chase.com. UAT guys will have uat.chase.com. This is how there are different environments will be set up. So when developer first write code, they write code here into their own environment. Then, and code means the package, right? The build. So they deploy it here. This is where they do the unit test. Question? Yen, do you have question?
No,
Okay.
I'm going to mute. I hear some noise background.
Yeah. So the point I was making that now codes needs to deploy it from one to another. So you are here. You start here. Developer does unit testing on their own environment. They will go to dev.chase.com. This is where they do the unit test, if they have to. And then once they're done, they will deploy the entire build here. That is called deployment, and that is not an easy process. They will get the entire code from here and deploy into QA. When it comes to QA, after a successful code deployment to QA, that's when you will have to do the testing in QA. And you will have a separate URL that will go in here. Same code, it will go in here. These two environments are called lower hanging environments, right? At the lower side. Not like production, but then very at the lower side. They will be the same, but still developers will have their own and then QA will have their own. That is called code deployment. But then when it comes to QA, what test do you do first? That's the next topic. So you do smoke test. That is the first test we do as a QA when it comes to us, when code gets deployed from development to QA. I'm going to talk about that. And again, these are the different stages. Unit is done by the developers. When it comes to us, we do smoke. Now, smoke is, I told you that in order to do a test, you need to write it down, create a test case first, step-by-step instruction, and then you'll be able to do it. But not for Smoke. Smoke is something that you don't really need to write a test case. It's all about testing the major functional area quickly, truly, right? Without having a test case, but the major functionalities only. So what do I mean if I want to take a real life example? I think if I'm testing Amazon, let's say this is my QA. Just imagine that it's not Amazon, it's QA.Amazon, and it just looks like this, right? That means there is a build already deployed and that's working fine. Now if developers deploys a new build on top of it. So the first step I'm going to do is Smoke, and that means that no test cases needed. I'm not going to look into an acceptance criteria. I'm just going to quickly check what I think are the major areas of this application. I'm going to try to type something in here because this is Amazon. I'm supposed to be able to typing it. Okay, so that's the first test. Okay, now this back button should work. If I click it, I should be able to go back. It works. Now let's see if I can log in, because that's very important. You know. So those kind of tests. Where's login? Oh, I already logged in. Let's see if I can sign out. Okay, I was able to sign out. Let me try to log back in. These are the major areas I'm testing thoroughly. Okay, so let's say that, so I've got a new build deployed. Now I need to first assure that the main functionality didn't break because of the new code drop, build drop. That's a Smoke test. Question is, who does that, and do we do it manually? How often do we do it, or we should automate? And so that's the first test we do. So I would ask you that question, and I don't expect you to give me the right answer, but at least share your idea. What do you think? We should do that, or we should automate that, or we should always do that manually?
I think we should automate that. So it's not going to take so long. We're going to save time, and that's what automation means. Like if we do manually, what's the point to automate other things?
Right, that's good. So you think we should automate it. Thanks for your opinion. What do you think? Why anybody would think that we should automate that? Give me that main reason. First of all, what I'm trying to ask you in another way is, what should be automated? What kinds of tests should be automated?
Okay, we have to automate our regression test cases, I think.
No, this is not a regression test case. This is a Smoke test.
I think it's something like a retesting. So something we need to do, again and again.
Well, right, that's fine. But why do you think we should automate?
So when,
and how would it help if we automate?
So when we're gonna get the new build, we don't need to do it manually. So we just
run.
Yeah, we do. We need to do the manually first.
No, it's the same major functionality test. How often are you going to get a new build?
So after, every 2 weeks, like if we have a sprint plan.
Every 2 weeks, right? Yes, that was the answer I was looking for. If you go for a Scrum model, what's the goal of a Scrum? What's the goal of a sprint? 2 weeks later, we'll have a shippable, fully tested build. That means developer will write code and deploy code into QA. A build gets deployed to QA a lot of times. Every time it gets deployed to QA, first you need to check for the major functionalities in a way that you need to do a Smoke test. And how many major functionalities you have in your application wouldn't change. Certain number of tests you need to do over and over and over. Things that you need to do repeatedly, this is the candidate of candidates to be automated. Right? Why would you do the same thing over and over again? So Smoke test should be automated. That's modern QSS. Smoke test should be automated. You don't have to write test case for that, but if you can automate main, small 90, 100, 200, whatever. I've seen like corporation will have 100, 150 smoke tests, the majority main functionality test, and they will automate that using Selenium, Java, Cucumber, whatever. And they will keep running that. Once you got that automated, you don't have to do manually test it. Every time you get a build from the dev, you just run that automated test. Now you just saved a lot of money, energy, and also you ensure the quality. Because if you keep doing it manually, I think there was a little lag. But anyways, if you keep doing it manually, there might be some sprint that you might not be able to cover all of these. Now you're putting your application security in risk. So automation is always ensures the better quality. So that's smoke test, right? Look it up. And then we go for functional integration and end-to-end. This is where it gets a little tricky. Functional test is the main test. Functional integration and end-to-end, these three are the main test for us. So it's a functional test. Each of those user stories that we have seen yesterday in Jira has acceptance criteria. Each of these acceptance criteria needs to be tested. For these test case, for each of these tests, you need to write test cases in Jira for functional integration and end-to-end. The functional is the first one that for each of these acceptance criteria needs to be tested. That's functional. By definition, if you ask me, the functional test is a kind of test to test the functionality of the application. And who tells you the functionality? The requirements, user story. If you just write test case based on each user story, you are covering the functionality of the application. Now, what's integration? It's also some sort of functional test, but it's not ties up with each story. It's not one test per story. It's a lot of stories. You combine them together and you test it as a group. So it's a long test case. It's a long test. You probably want to test by mixing and matching different modules of application, and you want to see how they work together. For example,
is it in integration where load testing is done? Is it at that point?
Do you want to ask that question one more time?
Is it in the integration phase where load testing is done?
No, load testing is the performance test, one of the performance tests. The load stress is these worlds right here. So if you want to ask me that when it is done, probably it is done simultaneously. When builds get deployed, first you do smoke, you regularly check, then you start digging down. You do functional, you do performance, and you saw other tests simultaneously, but there are different teams to do it.
So I have a question. So when are you going to do the non-functional testing?
Performance is called non-functional test in a way. So this is functional and this is non-functional. Okay. Because why? Performance doesn't depend on the functionality. It depends on the configuration of the server, internet speed, high RAM, high resolution, all these. That's why they call it non-functional. So functional and non-functional. So if you want to see the testing world, it's only functional testing and non-functional testing. Functional testing, everything falls under that. Non-functional testing is just load, stress, configuration test, network test, server-side test. And this is how it goes. So question, if you want to become a performance tester, if you become an automation tester, automation engineer, pretty much you'll fall under these kind of buckets. And if you want to become a performance tester, that is a separate study. You need to learn some more tools. Can you become both? Yes. In our course, we cover both. But you will not, I have seen a really very rare company that will have same guy to do performance test and functional test. You have two separate different teams to do it. But both of them are very crucial part of the testing ecosystem. what I was going to say. I was talking about integration test. Okay. How I would like to do it. First, I would think about where is my login module, right? So I would just go here and try to log in with my valid credentials. That's just one test, because if I don't have a valid credential, I shouldn't be able to log in. So that individual, that's one functional test when I test the login function, right? Then I will be able to log in if I put the valid user password, and I'll be here at the home page, right? Then if I search for something, if I search for a pen, now I'm integrating with the different modules of my application. And we know if we search for this pen and click search, there will be a new web service request gone to the server to pull the data. And then server will send me the data back. Maybe this is a different database than login. I don't know. In the back end, there are different integration points. So it's very important for us to understand those integration points once you get a job. Because integration test is the critical one. Because you need to understand all those integration points. You write a test, you want to touch upon every integration points to see whether that communication piece is working or not. I would, the next step would be I would search for the pen and click the search button, and I got the pen. Good, I'll click on it. Let's see if I can pull it together. Now, when I add to the cart, that's a separate integration points, because now it is asking for, it might ask for the insurance. Now, do you wanna do you want to buy insurance, right? If it was not a pen, if it was a car, or if it was an electronics, iPhone, right? You see that it gives you offer for insurance now. That offer comes from a third party. So now your application is talking to another third party software. That's a different integration points. So when you write an integration test, you will write this flow, that workflow of the test in a way. Back in your head, you need to consider that I want to touch that integration point and these integration points in our testing. So I would just, go to cart. And now it is another integration with your cart. Now cart, the shopping cart, which is this guy, could be entire different modules of your application, what was made separately, tested separately. Now you are integrating with other modules. This is what integration test means. And then you might want to add some quantity and make sure that it changes accordingly, right? That's a test. Then you might want to place the order. So when you place the order, there are multiple options. You can buy with your credit card, right? You can buy with your PayPal. You can probably buy with crypto. I don't think Amazon does that. So let's say credit card. Now, which credit cards? There are 4 credit cards, right? What are they? I even forget the credit card's name. Discover, American Express, Visa, MasterCards. Are they all same company? No. So from the integration point, think, if you want to apply all of these 4 credit cards, if you want your customer to be able to buy with all these 4 different credit cards, now you need 4 different APIs, 4 different integration points written. Those integration points will talk. Each of these will talk to the separate credit card company. If someone picks American Express as their payment method, then that API will get called whenever. Now, if you want to write a test, my question to you, how many test cases do you want to write? Do you just test with American Express and be sure that, okay, American Express worked, Visa will also work? Or you should write a test for Visa as well, and Discover as well, PayPal as well, all these different tests, integration points.
All these different tests for all types of payments.
Exactly.
I say all of them too.
Exactly. Is there any other way to do it? No. Visa is a separate countries. Well, everything looks good in your website. Everything is fine API wise. It's the same API, same website. You have tested everything. Still, anything could go wrong from their end. So without testing it, there is no other way. And then now you need to do the same test for 5 different ways. How does it different for you though? You don't really have to do anything else. You just have to come here and do the same testing each time, choose a different payment plan and try to submit that order, see if it gets done, if it works. That's 5 different integration tests. So now, question is, either is an easy one and it's already done, so I can tell that what test to do. How do you know? How do you know what's the important integration point that you need to test? So that's why when you join a project or get a job or become a QA, you need to look for the system design documents. If you join a project, there will be a lot of documents, a lot of diagrams like that will tell you the endpoints, right? I was looking into one that, Netflix, how Netflix works. Look, this will tell you. So the development team will create those endpoints and how system talks to others, things like that, right? This is definitely the front end, which is the user, like you and me. And then it goes somewhere. And you know that, by looking at it, you will know what talks to what. So what I'm saying, understanding integration points is not easy. That's why you have your team. Whereas experienced developer, go spend some time with them, ask different questions, but how does it work? How does it pull data? So this is how it's gonna go. There's no other easy way to do it. You're gonna gain knowledge. You're gonna understand by looking at those diagrams. Based on that, you will prepare your integration test suite. So integration test is one of the most important tests. You know that I led one of the biggest project at USCIS from 2015 to 2018. And the entire project was to do integration tests. USCIS has more than 20 plus applications. As you know, that they do green card processing, that's one. They do employment verification, that's one. Each of these applications, citizenship one, I-9 and a lot of others, right? They do a lot of other things. Each of these are different applications. It has certain rules. It works differently. There are a lot of logics. And it integrates with a lot of other things. I'll give you an example. If you apply for green card, there are 4 different categories. You could be a foreign alien and applying for green card. You could come here with H1 visa. Now you stayed here 6 years. Now you're eligible. You're applying for green card. But when you're applying through the front end, it's the same application you're filling out. But you might picking a different reason that I've applied from green card to citizen, H1 to green card. Or I've lived to the outside to green card, different categories. For the front end, it's all the same. When it goes to the back end, right? First thing it does, it checks your address. But how would the USCIS will check the address? Because it works with post office server, APIs integration. Check for the address, comes back if it's good. Then it goes to FBI, right? Because they need to check your criminal background history. And it talks to that server, comes back. If everything is good, let's say that you met the criteria a certain way, then it proceeds to a scheduling for fingerprints. And that is a local office. If you go for fingerprint in a New York office, right, they need to be able to give you a schedule, not USCIS. If they don't have a physical appointment available, they won't be able to give you schedule. So that system needs to talk to that scheduling system, right? That's one. So there are various things happen. So it talks to your biometrics, comes back, and then it talks to the payment system. So as you can imagine, it is really a complicated system. And that's not just them. Any other government departments, any other banks, any of these systems, it's really complicated, complex at the back end. So you need to understand that integration points and why it is important, why it is doing it. Then you'll be able to write proper and better integration test. So if you become a good integration tester, and if you become experienced, you'll slowly know how to figure out those integration points, what question to ask. It's a great career. The industry spends millions of dollars of figuring out those integration points are working properly or not. Because if it don't work, then the entire system will break. You can do unit testing all day. You can do smoke tests all day. You can do one test per story all day. But when they integrate, if it breaks, what's the point? Right? And end-to-end test. Let's talk about some end-to-end tests, and then I'll open up for questions. End-to-end test is really go to the database, do the SQL query, pull the data from the database, and then match with the data that you pulled from the database, from the back end, with the front end to match the data. Let's say you are opening up an account with Amazon. You're putting a bunch of data, right? Your name, your email, your phone number, these are all data. Once you create that account, it's supposed to go store in the back end of Amazon. Let's say you created an account through the front end. Now, if you want to do an end-to-end test, you literally have to go connect with the server at the back end and be able to query that same data out and then match with the front end. Okay, this is exactly my name, exactly my email, exactly my phone number, matches with the back end. That means that the communication piece worked, it got stored at the proper place where it's supposed to be in the database. So those kind of tests is called end-to-end test, front end with back end. In order to do that, you need to learn SQL. And that is a mandatory test. So someone asked me that what skill you need to learn. That's why you need to learn SQL. If you don't know SQL, you'll still be able to do others, but not end-to-end. So corporation is not going to just hire you to do, okay, you just functional testing, your integration. No. They will hire you as a QA engineer to do all of these, either all of these or performance or UAT. These are the three different kinds. I hope that gives you a bit of industry testing idea. I'll open up for question and I'll carry on to the next topic. Seems like I confused everybody.
So I have a question. So
Sure.
what if when we're gonna do the integration testing, if it's related to other team, like not only like the QA team, the applications or deployment related built by other like DevOps or admin groups, or I can say developer. So how are we gonna do that? Like, I mean, if I can do it, like, I mean, as a QA engineer, I can do it myself. I need to get the help of others.
Okay, so I'll clarify your question. You're saying, see, integration testing is critical because you don't have all the time enough information or enough software ready to integrate. What do? How do you do integration testing in that case? For example, eBay. You're working on sprint 1, let's say, the first ever sprint, and you only produced login. Now, how you do integration? You don't have enough to integrate with that one module. You just have one. So you can write some integration test at that point. You will be only writing functions. The next module, maybe next sprint, you are coming here and producing search module. And the next one, you are doing cart module. Then you can integrate these three, right? So what will be the strategy? Well, there has to be a rule in the industry that when do we write those integration tests? There is no easy answer to that. Every corporation is different. That's why they need experts to go there and figuring out. That's why they need attention from their expertise, folks to go there and suggest them what is the best way to do integration tests for that application or for that company. So one easy theory I can give you is N-1, which is that you don't really do an integration test within one particular sprint. If you are a sprint 1, you start doing integration test from sprint 2. That's what called N is the current number minus 1. So that theory works. I try to go to a different client and I try to implement the theory, like, okay, whatever. So you have produced module, login at the sprint 1, and you have produced the module search at the sprint 2. Write some integration test on sprint 2, combining these two modules together. When you go to sprint 3 and you produce the cart, extend that integration test. Now you try to combine the 3 modules like that. Slowly you proceed, and your integration test will grow big and associate more modules together. But there's a lot of understanding and expertise and experience you need to be able to do the solution. Majority of the time, if you're a junior tester, there will be somebody senior, right? There will be somebody who's guiding you through. As long as you know what question to ask, there'll be an answer for you.
So for the data validation part, do we need to automate those test cases, like when I'm gonna write down the SQL query? And
you can automate what you can automate. Another way you're asking me that, can I automate integration tests and end-to-end test? Yes, if you know how to automate. I mean, you can automate the entire world right now, so you can, there are robotics process automation. We're talking about test automation, by the way, but then even you can, what can't you automate? Right? Everything you can automate. Everything you can automate, but it depends on the skill set that you have within your industry.
Okay.
So it's a different tool to automate the database. You need to know extensive Java to do it, to automate the SQL query. But most of the time, integration test could be automated because this is through the front end only. You're not actually going to the back end. That could be done just through the front end. And you can automate all of these steps that I've shown you manually. You can automate that with Java, Selenium, Cucumber. So that is covered. Now, end-to-end test, it's hard to automate unless you have a proper skill set. So rather, corporations having manual tester to write those SQL queries, manually connect to the database and get the data. But however, answer is yes, you can automate. There are practice and tools out there. Okay. Now, what's regression? Regression means that what we have talked about, smoke automation, functional integration end-to-end, and I said all of these you can also automate. You automate all of these to do regression tests. The regression test is supposed to be automated because what's regression test? Told you, when there is a build, new code comes in, now you need to retest all of these test cases once again, every time you get a new build. That's called regression. So it is very important practice, right, within the industry, because let's say we are at sprint 3 and you have already written 150 test cases by sprint 3 and you have executed everything and you told me everything is good, you have no issues, but there is a new build gets deployed tomorrow and you need to retest all of these 150 again with the new one on that sprint. Would that be possible manually? No. You don't have time. You only have 2 weeks. So if you didn't automate all those from the previous sprint, now you don't have to, now you can't do manually regression tests. And without having regression tests, there's no guarantee that the old thing will work. It's like you're putting samosas in a package. You don't know that old samosas are still going to be fine or not. That's one of the key problems in the software development when it comes to testing. That we need the test to be automated, to do regression tests, so that every time there is a build deployed, we can just run that. Also, I was just coming to my point that it is also important if you have automation that you can just deploy build every day. Now understand this, right? You just don't deploy into one environment. First you deploy, the developers write code here, they do unit test, gets deployed into here, you do smoke and functional here. But then there gets another deployment to INT, integration. The integration has a separate environment, okay? Integration has a separate environment to do, and this is where you're gonna have to do all integration tests. Once it passes, then it gets deployed to production environment, still a different server, right? And then it gets deployed to UAT, and then finally it gets deployed to prod, right? That might be a manual process of deploying to prod. You really don't want to automate it. You want to go through a human eyes for the last sort of filtration before it goes to production. Because once you drop into production, your customer can see it. So, but dropping and deploying from one to another, this could be automated by doing DevOps, scaled through DevOps. But DevOps practice wouldn't work if you don't have enough automation, because every time you deploy it from here to here, you need to do smoke and regression automated. From here to here, you need to do smoke and regression. From here to here, every time it gets to a new server, you need to make sure the major functionality works, and also the old test cases that you have executed, old functionality that also works. Every time there's a deployment, you need to do smoke and regression. And you tell me any other way if you know without having that proper automation. No, right? There's no other way. So automation is the key of everything. Automation is the key of software development. Because if you have it automated now, you can deploy as many builds as you want if you have the DevOps pipeline. So not only your test is automated, your deployment is also automated. That's called DevOps. So together, if I want to talk about it, I wasn't planning for it, but let's say this is our environment of our company. If I have a system, a DevOps pipeline or practice, where I will be just writing code here. And the moment I write code here, my unit tests are automated. They will automatically do the unit test here. Then my unit test, if passed, all of them, then our automated process will get the entire code base, like the package, the final package, from here and deploy into another server and build the application. And then here, all of my functional tests are also automated using Selenium. So when it gets here, my system will automatically run all the automated tests. And if anything fails, then it's not going to go in here to do integration test. If it's not failed, then everything is passed, then it will drop the build here. And my integration tests are also automated. My end-to-end tests are also automated. So it will just get executed here. Because it's automated, it can run, it can be executed automatically. Result could come automatically from your automation framework. From there, it will go to performance test. So performance tests are also automated. So if it goes through all of these, then it will drop to the UAT. And UAT is a manual testing process because it's not done by the tester, it's done by the end user. Actually, the users who's going to use it. Corporation will bring in those users to do the testing. They will test the software from their point of view because they don't know the requirement. They don't even want to care. They will just see that if they like it. That's a different perspective of testing. So until this point, if I could deploy, if I could automate all these, I could automate the deployment and I could automate the testing, then how powerful it will be. Now I can just deploy every day. I can write a little code and I can deploy. Because I don't have to deploy, it's just the machine will do it for me. Because my tests are automated. That is called continuous integration, CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous deployment. That is the buzzword, keyword that everybody wants. Then you can deploy every day. But in order to get it done, that is called DevOps. The CI/CD thing is called DevOps. It's a DevOps practice. But as you know right now, that in order to get that done, testing is the important role part of it. Without having automation test, you won't be able to deploy every day. So this is the value of testing, and this is the value of automation testing. All together, all the big companies are following this DevOps pipeline. That's why more and more testings are becoming automation. And then automation testers are really high paid, high salaried because, I don't have to explain anymore. I guess you got the value of being an automation tester and being able to automate all the stories and being able to part of this DevOps pipeline. Now, who are DevOps engineers? You are also a DevOps engineer. So DevOps is not one thing. There are two types of DevOps engineers. DevOps engineers who will manage those infrastructure for you. Someone has to manage the servers, right? Servers are computer. Someone has to manage the servers, URL, front end, whatever. So one kinds of DevOps people will manage that. And they will also use a tool called Jenkins. The Jenkins will automate this process of deploying builds. One kind of engineer will do that. Manage the infrastructure for you. Another kinds of DevOps engineers are you, QA guys, who knows automation, who knows how to integrate their test automation codes into these Jenkins infrastructure, whatever pipeline. Right? So that DevOps level automation engineers are called SDEC. There is a name to it. So let's go. So the real, some of these titles, let's look it up. SDT, that's a new title. They're called Software Development Engineer in Test. They're not QA engineers. They are the upscaled QA engineers. Stands for Software Development Engineer in Test. So you see the difference between SDAT and tester. There is a difference. SDAT guys are DevOps. They are engineers. They know how to do automation and they know the ecosystem of deployment and they know how to play the automation into the DevOps pipeline in order to achieve smoother delivery, frequent delivery, quality delivery. Those are the kind of guy the industry looks for. They are unicorns, literally. So your journey begins here, I guess, and then if you want to become a QA, you should target to become an SDEC. This is how much they make, right? Not bad. Goes up to 160. It actually goes up to 200 in New York. I know some other companies. Because there's really high demanding skill that it needs. So one DevOps guy is equivalent to 10 manual testers, I would say. So corporation doesn't lose any money by paying them. Nationwide, I used to work there. Okay, so so that's just to give you an idea. Now, I want to give you another idea about how you're going to look for jobs. Dice.com is the largest platform in USA. We all know that. You can look up any jobs. And I'm particularly looking into New York. 171 jobs are open right now. Ford is hiring. All these Q engineers jobs are here. So, why don't I show you some manual testing job first? QA manual tester. Let's look at the job requirements. It's giving you $30 to $32 an hour. It's asking you to do UAT. some experience. And if you have a degree, that could be eliminated. Test script, test case, test planning, you need to learn that. Software development, life cycle, Scrum, and Agile methodologies. I think you should already know that. You know more than enough to be, tell them or perform them in an interview already. Acceptance test, functional test, regression, integration, compatibility, system test. You should already know that right now. You all know Jira. You haven't learned it yet, but like you said, you learned it something yesterday. Yes, I mean some portion. So you're qualified for majority of this. I don't want to oversimplify it, but I want to say that much, that getting a job is not hard because positions are open. But you see that the 16 positions as a manual tester. Now if I go quality analyst, that's kind of a next level. A little more. That means more corporation wants better quality of resource. That one is in Brooklyn. Asking for Jira. It's asking for a little bit of business analyst experience, problem solving experience, negotiation experience, more like a client facing, more like a business analyst type of role. Strong planning, organizing skill, negotiation, decision making. You will get all of these if you take the certification of CSM. So there are jobs for QA analysts. Now, we're gonna look for QA engineers. It's the typo. Okay. Little more. That means more corporation wants.
I have a question right quick because you just mentioned the CSM. So does the CSM certification, does that include learning about quality assurance testing as well?
CSM will make you ready for Scrum Master. Let's see.
Yeah,
Scrum
I
Master.
understand.
Real.
But does it help you get an understanding of what all of the team members do as well?
It helps you get a job. If you have it in your resume, they will hire you better than other QA candidates. So having that in your resume helps, even if you're looking for a QA job. But if you want to become a Scrum Master, which is this guy, and you see a bunch of roles, because every Agile team will need one, then you need to have some leadership skill, documentation, some management, because you're going to be a leader. That cannot be taught, right, in a course or something. You have to have some leadership skill. If you think you are one of the people person who likes to help others, that's also a little bit of matter of having the personality. A lot of people are techie. They don't like to talk to other people, so it's not for them. But also, yes, if you want to get that Scrum Master job, same certification. If you want to get a QA job, it's the same certification. It just proves that you know Agile.
Okay.
But the way you're going to write your resume is different. When you write your resume, you target for a specific role, and here it's going to be Scrum Master. So I was showing you about various different levels of QA, but then the last one, what I showed you in SDEC, right? See that? There are a few SDEC jobs as well. So SDAT, building API, Java engineer Manhattan, let's see, software development engineer, remote till COVID. I like that. Let's see, take a look at that. Web service testing requires APIs testing. That is also required. heavy duty Java engineers who happen to build integrated tool process for testing rather than products, things like that, and looking for Java. Experience in automated testing with web service APIs, gateways. Experience microservice testing in cloud environment, which is AWS. Things like that. So it's a little bit of upscale. Let's take a look at the one last one, and we'll go back to conversation. Also in New York. 8 years of experience with test automation, solid understanding of Git, which is the GitHub. Work experience with CI, continuous integration, what I just explained it to you. Experience with cross-functional Scrum team, which you already have. Ability to accomplish engineering tasks independently. Yeah, that's a little bit, it's a requirement for them. They're looking for analytical skill that even if you don't have a team, you are smart enough or capable enough of figuring out issues. And that is all I can see about the requirements. So that gives you an idea that, these are the role, these are the quality, these are the technical skill that industry looks for. Now, you don't have to know everything. There are various different levels, and you have jobs for each of these. So you need to pick who you want to become, what kinds of QA you want to become, if you want to become a QA, whether you want to do automation, make more money, or just be manual, or just be an analyst, things like that. So I think that explains a lot, and I will open up for questions.
Hi there, this is Sarma. Quick question. Is there a website that gives examples of user experience stories or like standards? While we're doing our training, like we learn the style of how to write it, so we're not correcting stuff or getting stuck in the writing process.
Well, obviously there is no such website is going to give you everything organizedly at one place. You have to learn it from different websites. But again, if you really want to make a career, like if you want to be an engineer, I would suggest you to get into a course. Like, you don't have to get into my course, but any of these courses. There are a lot of courses out there. That's just an easiest way to do it. Other than that, you need to learn Agile from a different website, and there are a lot of QA tutorial websites, right? But I don't remember one like that one that will give you everything. That doesn't really exist. You have to learn database from one, and then manual testing from one, Java from another one. Now, if you talk about automation, I can give you my website. I mean, it's free. It's let me just show it to you. But that will teach you one type of building, one type of framework stuff. It's called seleniumframework.com. It's a free tutorial website. It's basically done by my friend and my partner, Pradeep Machala. He was also, one of the director of a large scale automation company. So we have created them together 5 years ago, totally free. If you want to learn automation with Java, all the tutorials are there. Ruby, the different programs you need to pick, whether you want to be a Java automation engineer or Ruby or Python. But I would say go for Java because that has the maximum jobs. But a lot of people like Python nowadays. Also, you can learn one of these. So that is just for days. Okay, if you want to learn automation, is here. It's called seleniumframework.com. I'll put it in the chat room so you can all have access to it.
Great, thank
you. Yes.
Hi, I have one question. Can you tell about little ad hoc testing?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, my bad. Well, that's interesting. I'm glad that you've asked. Ad hoc testing is smoke testing, right? Where is my slide? Let's say. So what happens, there difference of one thing in the industry. So smoke is also called ad hoc, and sanity, sometimes called monkey. I don't know why, but these are all refers to the same thing. So ad hoc testing is smoke testing. Um, Non-functional testing is basically refers to performance testing, things like that, you know. So it's not a separate type of test. We have already covered that.
Okay, thank you. And how is this exploratory testing?
Exploratory testing is interesting too. It's sort of like ad hoc. So, good question, but I'll put it in a form that you will actually get a lot of value out of it. In the interview, if they ask you ever that, you know, what is the challenge that you faced, right? Or they could say, tell me some issues that you have had in your experience. Or what are the common challenges of software development lifecycle? You know, I'll tell you, the problem is you're working on a sprint and you have estimated each task. All of these are good. But once you start developing, you're supposed to finish it in 5 days, but that goes 9 days. Now you have 1 day for testing. What should you do? And you have written all these test cases already, and you don't have time to test. So how do you do that?
Prioritizing the high-risk tests.
Right, you can prioritize the high-risk test cases. That's one, but then still that's probably a lot of them that you won't be able to execute in 1 day, right? So what do? You sort of, you know, you'll be like, I don't need test cases. I would just explore the application throughout the functionality because I already have a great understanding of the business. I will explore the application and I will test as we go. That's called exploratory testing. So you're not focusing on test cases so much, but as if they ask you that if you don't have requirement properly defined, right? Let's say you end up being hired in a project, what is waterfallish? They don't have an agile practice properly. And you just got hired at the middle of the project. And you don't find the requirements are properly written. Even you don't even know who wrote it because the person wrote it might quit because it's 6 months, right? Waterfall. So if you don't understand the requirement, you won't be able to write a proper test case. What do you do? That's the scenario. Then you don't really have a way to write the test cases properly because nobody knows the requirement. In that kind of scenario, you would like to approach for an exploratory testing mode. That you will explore the application, you'll gain understanding. Based on that, you'll write your test case. You'll do your testing. You don't have to write test cases. You'll do your testing. I hope that explains a little better.
Yes, yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to give the mic back to Yen. I think Abdul is here already. If Abdul is here, Abdul has a few stuff to share. Is Abdul, are you here?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes.
Perfect.
Does Abdul want to say something before we close
Yeah.
now? Or?
Yes, Abdul has some announcements.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I thank everybody for taking the time and joining us for this 3-day session. I hope everybody, gained something out of this. Just again, my background, I'm a Queens College alumni. I come from more of the finance, economics side. But however, I've been brought on to Transfotech and helping Sheikh these last few years build up this institute. And so my role is mainly in terms of internship placement, job placement, developing soft skills. As Sheikh mentioned, those technical skills are of course key, and that's what we teach at Transfotech. But also we want to be able to give our students the best position to get jobs. And a lot of the times, a lot of employees are looking for people with great communication skills because everything is a team based, and you really Thank you, Yang, for making me co-host. And you really, build everything together as a team. So after this event, we will go ahead and be sending everybody a thank you email with the survey that you can, provide your feedback and everything that you may need. This also, Sheikh, can you stay right there, please, on that screen? Now go back to course curriculum. So this right here, if you go on our website, Transfotech Academy.io, you'll be able to see the course curriculum that we have, all the different tools that we would be teaching. We currently have our next batch for July 15th, where the classes are on Wednesday and Thursday with optionals of Sunday. And it will run for 6 months. For Queens College, we are offering a discount to all students that join. So we'll be, sending that shortly as well. Also, one of the, Sheikh, do you want me to, can I share my screen?
Sure, absolutely, yes.
Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
So the sister company that we have is Deploy Me, which is something I run. So it's mainly product development for clients, where we build, all types of mobile apps, software, websites, online marketing. So these are products that we actually build for clients. So all of the students that are part of our institute, we do place them in internships with different industries, but also with Deploy Me. The reason for that being is because you get all types of experience, anything from building an app, just on iOS to Android to an actual entire proprietary system for a client to a CRM system. So it really gives you very hands-on depth that will, allow a lot of value when you go into the workforce. So that's something that we also provide. We are looking for interns, or if anybody's looking for any experience, they can feel free to reach out. And I think, Sheikh, everybody has have you given everybody our contact information?
Everybody has Sheikh's LinkedIn.
So,
Yeah, I think we have a list of people who signed up, and we will send this opportunity to everybody. All of these people that came through emails and phone. We are.
It's fine. I'll take this from here. Sorry, I think somebody has a question. Who's on the screen?
So do you guys work do you guys have a corporation, like any corporation or any industry, like you guys have a project? If somebody wants to work as a QA engineer, or start working as a, entry level or junior level. So do you guys have anything like that?
So we work with various corporations, both on the tech side and the finance side. I really help with in terms of the placement and the resume building and the mock interviews. So that's something that I do. So we do, allow for placing. We would say, however, if are you a current student, or have you already, graduated with a degree and have some experience?
No, I have an associate degree in computer science, but I have a plan to go to Queens College. Maybe next semester I'll enroll.
Okay.
So
as Sheikh mentioned with the job requirements, it's usually either a bachelor's degree or years of experience. The way that we work with our institute is that we give students very hands-on experience in different labs that give them real industry experience. It's not just all theory and just classroom based. It's really getting your hands on and learning for yourself. I always say one of the best ways to learn is really doing it yourself. So that can also give you an edge. And as Sheikh mentioned, towards the end of our program, we also help our students get placed in different industries. So it all depends on your level of experience. So to answer your question, we do have different corporations that we work with. Specifically on the tech side would be Accenture, Google, Amazon, and I believe Twitter. On the corporate side, or at least the finance side, where I come from, the companies that we work with are Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, Blackstone, and Bank of America.
Do you guys have any like marketing team? Like you guys gonna help somebody with marketing and like any mock interview? Like if I wanna take the mock interview for your corporation, like because I know, I mean, I took the courses from Udemy and YouTube. I also, you know, came to know the, I mean, so many tools about like related to automations, but now I'm looking for a job and like internship or something like that, or junior level, whatever it is. So if you guys have any marketing team or like the
I
other.
think, Abdul, I can answer it. Thank you. Thank you for asking that question. So two things here, right? So we offer a course. What Abdul was trying to explain to you, that course is combined an internship as a practice within that course. It's part of the course. So we provide 4 months of training and then 1 month of internship that we provide for those who took a course with us. That's just one thing. Now, if you are not taking a course with us, if you're just looking for a job, we can also help you with that. That's what you have to probably talk to Abdul, because Abdul manages the recruiting, and we are a company. We are a recruiting firm. We also work with a bunch of other big companies of recruiting firms. So we can help you with that in that regards. If you send us your resume, we can definitely take a look. But we won't be able to give you an internship on our own if you don't take a class with us, right? But they might hire you as an intern. We can do that for you. Was I able to explain it clearly?
Yeah, it was like, I mean, if I want to take the mock interview, let's say, I mean, you guys have any marketing team or like
yeah, I mean, if you need a job, it's not going to be a mock interview then. If you need a job, and if you send us the resume and we act like the recruiting company, we will take a real interview. If we feel like you're qualified, then we will submit your resume to our partners, clients, whoever are hiring. Mock interviews those who took the class. Like that's a practice thing. We just don't provide the mock interview as a service or just internship as a service. It's part of the course. That's why it's 6 months. But we do provide the job assistance. If you're ready, then get ready and then come to us, and we should be able to help you.
Okay.
Abdul, did I say it almost right? Is there anything you want to add to it?
No, I think you explained everything right. And in terms of, I mean, if I'm hearing the question right, is that you're just looking just for some mock interview, some practice prep. We take the course with us. We do that all throughout the course. If not, if that's just what you're specifically looking for, Queens College does offer mock interview a prep service. So that's something that you can reach out to the CS department to schedule a mock interview.
Okay, so is there any other CUNY school you guys have like you guys are connected, or only Queens College?
So as of right now, we're connected with Queens College, mainly because I'm an alumni, but we are working with other CUNYs as well. So, we are expanding our pool and our reach.
Okay. So I do know like some of my friends, they study like your college, some of them in Queens College. So they're also interested in like, they're majoring in computer science. So they're also interested in QA or like QA automation or QA related other like.
Got it. Yeah, just to be clear, we don't only focus on just training Queens College students. We did this training for Queens College primarily, but we train all different types of students, all different types of colleges, not only New York included. We have students both, from Texas, California, to even offshore in Germany and Poland, because, QA itself, the language, universal.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we have our own training. We're also located at Jamaica. So the reason we're doing this with Queens College, because we're neighbors. We're in the same neighborhood, and we want to help folks here first, and then somewhere else with other CUNYs. That's one of the reasons that we came forward to do these 3 days free training with Queens College. But we do how you can opt into our training course, regular one. However, there is a discount, like Abdul was saying, great discount that he configured for the Queens College students.
Actually,
okay.
somebody's asking about the tuition cost and the discount.
You can talk about that. I think it's on our website. I think the course cost $3,500, Uh, it's way cheaper than any other Manhattan-based, institutes. So it's cost $3,500. And what's the discount you have for Queens College, Abdul?
So the discount that we're giving to Queens College is we're giving $1,000 discount to Queens College. So that's $2,500. However, this discount will only apply to Queens College students. Those students that are, admitted to Queens College but not students yet, will also, apply the discount to them as well.
Wow, that's great. That's amazing. Okay, this is just for Queens College though, right? I mean, whoever is getting in or for Queens College exclusively. So that's good because that's how we start a partnership. But then we are also, we don't discouraging anyone else to come to us. I mean, it is a global need, like Abdul was saying. And the last, the training I was doing was like house full. I got students from Australia and UK too. Abdul just mentioned 2 countries, but it's literally more than that. And every states of the United States, because people need this course more than ever before because people are locked at home and they don't have job, and IT seems to be, not affected that much, and you have these work from home options and whatnot. So we welcome anybody and everybody, and so that's it. I think we have more plans for Queens College to come, and Young can talk about it. Some of the upcoming initiatives of Queens College Tech Incubator. Some of these things you can.
Yeah, I just want to encourage everybody to stay connected. As we develop new programs, we'll definitely let you guys know. And yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm just putting my contact information for everybody in the chat, my email. You can reach out to me at any time. It's just my first name dot last name at transfotechacademy.com. You can also go on the website, transfotechacademy.io. So you can set up an appointment with us. Sheikh and I and everybody who works at Transfotech, we're very open to speaking to people, whether it's, providing, answers to some questions or whatever you have on your mind. We're always here to help. So you can feel free to reach out to us at any time. We do want to thank, of course, Queens College Tech Incubator and Ying for this amazing opportunity to speak to everybody. Being an alumni of myself of Queens College, it always feels great to give back. And I always hope to continue to do so. And I would love to see, all Queens College students succeed in their different professions. So thank you for that, Ying, for this opportunity.
Okay. Thank you, Abdul, and thank you, Sheikh, for this amazing workshop that you're conducting. It's very informational. Give folks a lot of information about how to consider a career in QA. So anybody who is seriously considering, just keep studying, and if you can take the class with them, that's great. I wish everybody good luck on their career, and if you have time, come to visit Tech Incubator sometime when it's open. Otherwise, stay connected.
Absolutely. One last thing, just everybody, feel free to give us some feedback. Sheikh just put up our Google and our Facebook page. We would love, feedback and reviews from everybody if possible. So after this call, if you can just quickly go on there, let us know how we did. It really helps, our institute and others, others to see, okay, there's value added in the teaching that we're doing. So we do this for you, for everybody who's, wanting to get a job in this industry. So please take that time to just put a review up. The Facebook page and Google page are there. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for,
Well, it was a great 3 days with you all. More than willing to have. Thank you, Tech Incubator. See you soon.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. See you guys soon.
Yeah. Thank you again. Let's hope a group of future QA engineers will grow out of this group.
Totally.
Thank you. Thank you, Sheikh. Thank you, Yang.
Yeah.
Thank you, Transfotech.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks
Hi,
all.
Yang. I
Yes.
have a question.
Yeah.
What is the hours for Tech Incubator?
Right now, we are all virtual. So you can just send me emails with any questions or anything you want to discuss. And it will be normal, like business hours, but we also do run programs in the evenings and the weekends as well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, all.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
We'll stay in touch, okay?
Bye all. Stay in touch. Thank you.
All right.